the National Power Play, they have moved it over to the side of the road. It is no longer blocking traffic on 440. They're waiting. They got a tow truck out there, but apparently the power play is too heavy and sluggish, and they had to go get a bigger tow truck. So they're just fixing to wait on that. And also, it's raining, so they got to wait for the rain to clear.
They had to get the tow truck?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
They called Bubba, and he was like, "No, I'm little Bubba. Y'all want Big Bubba." And Big Bubba don't work on Tuesdays. Y'all got to wait till Friday. So, yeah, because he's Big Bubba. He works whenever he wants. That's just how it is.
Hey now, everybody, welcome in to show 73 of the Pucknologists here on Tealtown, USA. Oh, I could do that all day, especially after the Sharks win Game 7 in back-to-back series. Oh my God. I'm your host, AJ_Strong on all the social media areas that you can, find in even on the dark web. AJ_Strong over there. Joining me today, of course, is the one and only Rocket Backhander.
What's up? I'm a raccoon in the shape of a hot woman.
Hey now, and back from an amazing trip to Winnipeg where there was no Wi-Fi, and that's why he was not on the last show, one Mr. Hockey Jerk.
So,
here we go.
Turns out, I landed in the peg, as they say. Had my little computer, my little microphone, my little internet cord, and TSA was like, "Sir, you can't bring that here."
So we don't know what it does.
So they were like, "No, we have a nice setup for you over here." It was a windowless log cabin, and I enjoyed my time there.
Hey now,
all right.
They're like, welcome, come on in. We're not playing hockey anymore, so the more the merrier. So do us a favor, kids. Remember to subscribe to our cast, whether it's on SoundCloud or whatever podcast platform you choose, Spotify, iTunes, any of those things. Hit us up, give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up, give us some love with the nice, cool little review, and always subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Tealtown After Dark, the only live and interactive Sharks postgame show after every single game on the UB2B. Go figure that out. So, as they say
in hockey, let's do that hockey.
Oh my God, another 7-game series to talk about. So let's get through this one as fast as we can because, oh my God. Game 1 versus the Colorado Avalanche. The Sharks win Game 1 5-2. Yes, again, just like they won Game 1 versus Vegas 5-2. Gambrell and Rodil would slot in for Pavelski and Donskoy. As you remember, Pavelski took a brutal hit from Paul Stastny. About 10 minutes left versus Vegas in Game 7. And Jonas Donskoy got absolutely leveled in Game 6. So Gambrell and Rodil come in. And what do you know? The Sharks give up a goal in the first 5 minutes. That's what they do. Goose Nyquist would get his first goal on some sweet moves by Brent Burns. 10 minutes later to tie that one. And then after giving the Avs a 2-1 lead, the Sharks would score 3 straight, including an absolute undressing of Rantanen by Kevin Labanc.
Labanc cuts in, avoids a hit. Kevin Labanc scores! What a play, start to finish for Kevin Labanc.
Through the legs of Rantanen. One more little move here to the inside, and then that great wrist shot that he possesses. And Joe Thornton right there says, yeah, I like that.
And his old junior coach, Dale Howardchuk, the Hockey Hall of Famer, would like seeing that one.
Everybody likes to see somebody get undressed on the ice. Am I right, Rocket?
You are not incorrect.
Your thoughts from Game 1?
My thoughts on Game 1. Hey, you know what? I thought that
yeah, Colorado is a fast, speedier team. They are not nearly the heavy machinery that Vegas was. I told someone earlier today that going up against Vegas is like going through a car wash full of sledgehammers. It's just torture. You're going to get through it. You're going to get beat up. And holy cow, if both side view mirrors and the antenna were still on this thing when it came out the other side. So for me, it was like when we have to go up against Colorado, this first game was indicative that this was not going to be a car wash full of hammers. This was maybe going to be like I don't know, like a sprinkler full of macaroni. And that's kind of what it was.
Oh my God. Okay. Hockey Jerk, was your sunroof broken? Were your tires slashed? What's going on?
So yeah, I had a hammer, sledgehammer. It hit me in the forehead. But then yeah, we got to the second round, and it was much nicer. No, this game, I don't know if anybody will disagree with me here. I think this game was the Sharks' best game of the series, which is unfortunate considering it went 7. But I mean, it was a hot start for the Sharks. They were up 2-1. 2-0 rather. Avs came back in and brought it to 2-1, and then from there the Sharks were pretty much in the driver's seat the whole way. Getting 3 more goals. Beautiful move by Kevin Labanc. My God, I mean, he has that 4-point outing in Game 7, and then turns around and puts up that one against one of the best players in the NHL this year, and it's kind of like, what can't Kevin Labanc do? But easily, like I said, easily the best game in the series. The Sharks were in the driver's seat for the majority of the game, and it was good to see considering A, how little time off they had from Vegas, but B, how long that Vegas series actually was and how grueling it was, to Rocket's point.
If you look hard enough into the rafters of SAP Center, you will see Rantanen's jock hanging up there like a banner.
There you go. It's right next to the regular season champions, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was waiting for it, dude. I was waiting for it. The other key of this, of course, Burns having a 4-point night, and you know him, you love him. Martin Jones stopping 26 of 28 for a .929 save percentage. Dude has just, after hiding from the media after Game 4 versus Vegas, the dude has just found a whole different level. And here's Coach DeBoer on Marty Jones.
Yeah, he was great tonight. I don't know. You know what? He's found his rhythm, and it shouldn't be surprising. He's played, I think over the last 4 years, a lot of great hockey for us.
And I love the comment. It shouldn't be surprising. Coach DeBoer, did you watch any of the regular season this year? I'm a little surprised.
He didn't, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
that's true. Regular season doesn't matter, kids. It's all about
playoffs.
That's all it is. So we move on to Game 2. This one, the funny thing about this series, basically one team would win one game and the other team would win the other game. Every other game. Oh, whatever. That's when home ice advantage comes into play, but it did not for Game 2, as the Sharks would lose this one 4-3. However, the score would make this game appear far closer than it actually was. Haley would slot in for Gambrell, because Gambrell, let's be honest, not the best game he's ever had for Game 1. And at this point, I'm kind of thinking, maybe the round 1 series versus Vegas might have caught up to the Sharks, because that was, as Rocket said, just a brutal car wash of hammers series. Evander Kane would open the scoring in the first period, and then the Sharks would go on to give up 3 straight, including one to Long Beach native Matt Nieto. Oh, there it is. I said it. We got to pull one out. Brent Burns would assist on the Kane goal and would score the final 2 goals for the Sharks and absolutely destroy Matt Calvert in the all within the play of this. And on the Barry goal that gave the Avs a 2-1 lead. After the game, there was a lot of discussion among the players and the coaches as to whether that puck should have been iced and whether the correct call was made. Now, Jerk, you saw the game. Should that have been icing?
Probably. Or probably not. I don't know. Remains to be seen. I am unsure. No,
I am unsure.
Here's the
you
thing.
are as consistent as George Peros, my friend.
Here's the thing.
Wow.
It's like, okay, whether it is or it isn't, like, and I get it. There are some who tell you that it was crucial to the game and you have to make a decision, but it's like I just don't see the merit in talking about it. I just think it's one of those things.
Okay, so we move on.
It's it's just like it's you kind of have to, like, the way I look at it is like you have to roll with the punches. It's like, okay, so maybe there was a botched call there, but it's still something, like, it's like I said too on Twitter about Nathan McKinnon in Game 5. It's like, if you can't adjust to what's thrown at you, whether it's from the referees or the other team or whatever, you probably don't deserve to move to the next round. And I think the team who adjusted better was the team that moved on.
Yeah, I mean, Rock. To me, it's like it just seemed like it was a lot of, I don't know. Like, if you want to talk about shenanigans in Game 2, let's talk about Couture getting a goal taken away from him versus Vegas. Let's not talk about an icing call, versus Colorado.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of interesting how it's just shenaniganery. That's how the optics of playoffs have always been maintained. They need to have little red herrings for us to chase after, because otherwise they would have no bloody interesting things to write about other than, the same roster went out and played the same other team, and this guy won this time, except the other guys didn't.
I don't think that I like that reference, because I think it's offensive to blue herrings, green herrings, yellow herrings. I'm just saying. Anyway,
Capeland and Marlin. Yeah, there's other fish out there. I apologize.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. But here's how Mark Edward Vlasic looked at it.
It was the right call.
It was the right call.
Absolutely. I'll wait for, I'll take the high road and wait for the league's apology tomorrow.
Clearly, Vlasic poking a little bit of fun at the whole idea of the NHL calling Vegas after Game 7 and apologizing for the 5-minute major call on Cody Eakin. Okay, well, again, I don't know how many times it needs to be said. The officials didn't let in 4 goals in 4 minutes. The officials didn't preclude or harbor anything against the Vegas Golden Knights from scoring in the first 18 minutes of overtime. But I digress. But
my just really quick, my favorite thing about that Vlasic quote is that there are some people whose opinions, quote unquote, matter. They got that blue check mark and they work for that, insert media outlet here, who thought that Vlasic was being serious. I'm like, you cannot, like, you got to be kidding me right now. Like,
dude, if you've gotten a blue check mark next to your name, you need to, like, pretty much like, you would hope that Twitter going forward has some sort of verification process that where they say, okay, can you fill this out and show that you understand what sarcasm is?
Well, that's like the Pro Hockey Talk for NBC. They posted an article, and it was like a whole thing where it was like, it's something like, oh, is the league are the referees getting to the Sharks? All this stuff, here's this rule, here's this quote, and it's like, it's not as big of a deal as you're making it out to be.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
See, I think that the people with the little blue check marks who didn't pick up on Vlasic's French Canadian sarcasm, those are the ones who never watch West Coast hockey.
Well, the other thing being is, have you ever seen Vlasic when he's mic'd up? That dude like sweats sarcasm.
Yeah. I know where you're going with this one.
Yeah. No, he sweats sarcasm. So it's just kind of okay. So this call brought to you by the letters F and U.
Don't forget CKFACE.
Yeah.
Right. So here's Coach DeBoer's take on the whole deal.
Well, whether I thought it was doesn't matter. Our players did, and they let up. They relaxed for a minute, and it obviously wasn't. So, that's, I guess, a lesson in that is, don't assume anything, is in the playoffs, and play and make sure.
Yeah, play to the whistle, boys.
That was like the most, for me, that was like the most vague quote I've ever heard.
Oh,
Like
a hockey coach making a vague quote? Shocking. Absolutely shocking, I tell you.
DeBoer, can you tell us about this thing that happened? Well, when it be, what it do? I mean, it is what it is.
Oh, man. Okay, well, we move on. So, game 3, the Sharks would win 4-2. Matt Calvert would be out of this one after getting completely just Mac trucked by Brent Burns in game 2. And there were 2 huge picks in this one. Meyer would pick off a pass that would end up going bar down. Ian Cole later would pick off an absolutely ridiculously stupid pass from Brent Burns, which would end up being a McKinnon goal. However, Logan Couture would get a hat trick by cleaning up some garbage in front, going top shelf on the side, and finishing it off with an empty netter. Let's hear about it.
Now Myers shoots, save made. Rebound, Couture, backhander, star! Logan Couture on the rebound. Opportunity for Myers, steal the puck from Zadora. Couldn't do it. Gets it back. Down low to Couture. Holds it, shoots it, star! Logan Couture with a wrist shot from the low right wing faceoff circle that goes top shelf. The Sharks lead 3-2. Loose puck, Couture shoots toward the empty net. He scores! The hat trick for Logan Couture. He's surrounded by his teammates as the Sharks get the empty netter.
I loves me some Ruzinowski. He gets so crazy. So, Jerk, as the resident, I know that you rival Brody Brazil when it comes to Logan Couture fandom. How are you feeling about that game?
So that game was the Sharks' second best game of the series. And again, only game 3, which if you don't know how the series end, you're probably thinking it doesn't end very well. No, you know what? Those Sharks were, you think they're coming off a loss at home and going into a place that everybody seems to think is a factor because of the altitude and it's a loud building, and that's fantastic. And it is. But the Sharks came out and they were like, yeah, so your narratives, to Rocket's point earlier, your narratives that are going to give you, 1,200 words tomorrow morning, yeah, bump that. They came out in the first period, came up 2-0 and dominated the play for a lot of that period and a lot of the game as well. And, obviously a little bit under siege in the third period, but I still think, like I said, second best game of the series for the Sharks. They were in the driver's seat for a majority of the game, and depth goal scoring is always nice, but sometimes, your big guns need to be the big guns, and Logan Couture was. He was, I believe he, to the media that morning, he kind of called himself out and said, I need to be better, and he got a hat trick. I mean, I don't know how you can like that anymore, to be honest with you.
Oh, dude, you gotta love yourself some Logan Couture. Rocket, actually, and now here's Rocket to tell you why during these 7 games, Brendan Dillon was the best player on the ice.
Wait, what?
Just messing with you. Your take from game 3.
Game 3, Logan Couture, Couture's revenge, Tooth's revenge, Mega Tooth. Tooth times tooth. Tooth hard or die. I don't know. The tooth and nothing.
You can't handle the tooth.
Exactly.
Tooth fast, tooth furious.
Tooth. Oh. Yeah. So that's basically that's what it was. I love Logan Couture. I'm
so tired of Jerk winning.
I love Logan Couture, dude. He's just beast mode, but it's he's just one of the toughest individuals I've ever witnessed in professional sports, but it's through his actions that his toughness is conveyed. His demeanor, not tough. He's just a regular, boring hockey guy whose eyebrows do a lot of talking. And when he's honest about stuff, you can see it on his face, and I commend him for that. He's he's a piece of iron. He's Canadian rusty toothless iron. I love him.
I want this. I wish I had the sexy music right now, because it's his eyebrows just speak to me. Boom. Hey, girl. You want to see 3 goals? You want to show me that hat?
Oh my God.
Jesus.
I'm going to throw my hat at you, Logan.
In the words of, and Rocket will appreciate this, in the words of Jesse from Bar Down, he's a beaut. He's a beaut. He's a beaut.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, well, the best part of this, though, of course, is Logan Couture getting the hat trick. But after his first goal, Logan tried out a new celebration. And a little bit of a, I don't even know, was that like a royal kind of
It's like a
acknowledgement?
flourish.
Some sort of acknowledgement of the royal crowd and a bow. Logan, though, I'm not sure that he was digging it.
Yeah, I mean, tried different celebrations tonight. I don't know if I'll use them again. They weren't very good.
Yeah, they really weren't. They weren't that great. But you know what? It was still fantastic to watch. And the key for this one, at least for me, the amount of ringing off the posts in this one. So many rings. Oh my God. Jennifer Lopez has not seen this many rings. I'm telling you right now.
I think a more current comparison would be Ariana Grande.
That too.
Because she only had 7. Yeah.
There were more posts than your annoying aunt's Facebook page.
Hey. One
of us is
relatable.
One of us is going to get there. But in this one, for the second game in a row, Long Beach native Matt Nieto would score one. Pour one out for our boy. Neats beats. Hey now.
LBC.
So getting on to a game four. This would be, again, kind of we talked about game 1 being a Sharks win 5-2, which mirrored the first round versus Vegas. Yet again, the second round mirrors the first, as in game 4, the Sharks would be shut out. An absolutely snooze fest. You don't need any type of sleep medication whatsoever if you're having any type of insomnia. Just watch the first period of game 4. You'll be out like that. Holy hell. Curve foot, hook Sorensen, 15 seconds later. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that really gets me. Curve foot would hook Sorensen. Sharks on the power play. 15 seconds later, EK65 would get hooked in open ice, like dead center of the neutral zone by Calvert, to the point where Calvert like just dropped his gloves because he knew the call was coming, and yet it never came.
Well, that's a clean face-off win. And they missed it.
Don't call it.
That was a miss.
Big break. Carlson's shot is blocked. And now Matt Calvert got a break. He'll send it ahead. Breakaway Nieto. And he is stopped by Jones, but a penalty coming up. And that will do it for the Shark power play. And they are in a lather that...
Exactly, as they should be in a lather. So what ends up happening is, instead of the Sharks being on a 5-on-3 for 1:45, LeBanc ends up taking a call, and boom, now we're 4-on-4. So, I mean, Rocket, how do you not call that? It was, oh my God.
I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't the referees. I don't know what they saw and what they didn't see. All I know is what the camera angle saw, and what the camera angle saw doesn't matter because that's not the thing that was officiating. So.
It just drove me crazy. I mean, 15 seconds later, LeBanc hooks Nieto. What should have been a 5-on-3 becomes a 4-on-4, and then McKinnon would score after Burns fails to clear. Again, you're going to hear that a lot. Burns fails to clear. Braun would get called for tripping. Kerfoot in this one, who I don't even know how you call that tripping, because it was like, I don't know if he lost an edge or something, but dude like went down like a pile of potatoes. And then Wilson would score after, because Burns couldn't clear. And then the best part, midway through the third period, the refs do find the testicular fortitude to call a 5-on-3, but this time for Colorado. But again, like I said, silver lining, the Sharks were shut out in game 4 of the first round, and they end up getting shut out in game 4 of the second round. Jerk, I mean, what were you thinking after seeing this shutout?
So, contrary to everything that you and Rocket just said, this was not the Sharks' worst game of the series.
Because this was the third best.
Boring is the worst.
In spite of scoring 0 goals, they definitely got their looks, especially to start the game and especially to end the game. I know EK65 especially was feeling it in the third period in a good way. But
As
You know,
opposed to the other 6 games. Go ahead.
Yeah. And, you know, it's like I always say, my favorite part of this game was when it ended, because there was really nothing exciting about this game at all.
I think we have a sound from Jerk's favorite part of the game. And that's the final horn. Everybody get the hell out.
Your final score, Avalanche 3.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. Again, I can sit here and be a little ticked off about that not getting called, especially because it would have been a 5-on-3 for the Sharks. But then again, the Sharks power play this series, not exactly lighting the world on fire. I don't know that, even if they got the 5-on-3, the Sharks at that point might have said, no, we're good 5-on-4. Just let it go, But here's DeBoer on the whole deal.
It was one of those games I thought, halfway through, I kind of had the feeling whoever was going to score first was probably going to win. And, they got the goal, they got the energy, they started to grab some momentum, win a few more battles, and we were winning from that point on. But I really felt the game was kind of right there, at least up until that point. So, missed opportunity, but we came and got our home ice advantage back, and we got to go home and take care of business.
And holy hell, has home ice advantage been a key in this series. So we move on to game 5 that the Sharks win 2-1. First period, Donskoy, the return of Jonas.
Goodbye.
Oh, wait, no, not that guy. No, the other Jonas. Donskoy returns in place of Lukáš Radil. LeBanc appeared to open the scoring, but then Timo Meier was called for a high stick just prior to the goal going into the net, so it was waived. Yet on Twitter, another angle was posted, and it showed that Rantanen was never even touched by Meier's stick. So basically, Rantanen sold it. Hey, good for you. There's a website called eBay. You might be able to sell some other things on. That was I'm just saying that was a sell job, Jerk.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, it's the thing that I took away from that is the referee who was 20 feet away from the play thought it was all kosher, but
200 feet away.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
that's a call.
The ref trailing the far blue line was like, "Hey, no, hello." But I mean, again, it's one of those things, like I said earlier, like the referees, they're going to call what they see. And can you really fault them for that? Probably not. So it's one of those things where you just have to roll with it. And, I absolutely think that did kill the Sharks' momentum for, the rest of the first period and probably the second period as well. But, at least we saw, probably for the first time in this series, the Sharks have their momentum ripped away from them, and then they find a way to get it back. So, big to see, obviously, considering you split the first 4 and have to now come home.
Yeah. Well, and also it's just really good to see Donskoy come back in, and it felt like it gave the Sharks a little bit of a boost. I mean, Rocket, were you sitting there going, oh my God, it didn't even come close to Rantanen, you sons of bitches referees?
No, because it goes both ways. Sometimes
you're the windshield, sometimes you're the back.
Yeah, sometimes you eat the bar, and sometimes the bar eats you. That's just the way of the dude. That's it. I'm not mad at it. What I'm
just disappointed.
No, I'm not even disappointed. I mean, we're talking about game 5, right?
Yes,
Yeah, well, here's the thing, and here's the thing also, which is the same in game 7, but in just flip-flop, is that, Kevin LeBanc, God bless him, that should have been his goal. So even if they all saw those angles and they knew that it wasn't his goal, he knows he knows at that point that it should have been, but it wasn't, and that could have deflated San Jose. That San Jose could have gotten in their heads at that point and just not been able to be successful the rest of the game, and they would have been wrong to blame the official for
taking the goal away, even if it was an incorrect call. Because at that point, it's not about whether or not the referee makes the right call. It's how much crap can you get past in order to win.
Yeah.
And they
You're
did.
not lying. No, you're not lying. In the second period, Tyson Jost would open the scoring finally, even though we all thought LeBanc did that a period earlier, but it came off a fluky bounce off of Brent Burns. You can't blame that one on Jones, but 2 minutes, 40 seconds later, Tomas Hertl would tie it on the power play. Wait a minute. The Sharks scored a power play goal? Yes, they did, people. Off a Couture shot. And then in the third period, Hertl would bury a rebound off a Vlasic shot. Oh, Tomas Hertl, I love you so much.
EK65, dropped it back, Couture slap shot, score! Hertl was in front of the net with Meyer. The slap shot by Couture tips in, and the Sharks score on the power play. Kane walks to the slot, can't get it, turnaround, Vlasic, shot, save, rebound, score! There he is again. Tomas Hertl getting the backhand on it, driving to the net, getting the rebound.
I love that. There he is again. It's like a social disease you can't get rid of. Hertl all over the place. It's fantastic. I love that. But the best part of this game, as we all know, a minute after the Sharks took the lead, Joe Pavelski, who'd been out since that ridiculously horrible bleeding from the head, laying flat on the ice, completely. I mean, it looked like he was out cold for a minute or two. Joe Pavelski comes out of the tunnel, waving the towel, and dressed spectacularly, by the way. Beautiful suit.
That was a stellar suit.
Right? And they got him on the Jumbotron. And now here's the funniest thing about this is when you look at the video of this, it seemed like there was like 18 cameras on him. And the funny thing is, it's like when you hear Logan post game, and here's Logan Couture on this.
We just got a power play, and I was lined up, and there's a loud cheers, so I figured something was going on. Took a look up to the Jumbotron, and there he was. I didn't know. No one knew he was going to do that, so that was as loud as this building gets. I mean, that was reminiscent of Game 7 against Vegas. How loud that was. Pretty cool moment. Had goosebumps on the ice.
And so that's the thing I think is so funny is he comes out, and it's like nobody who he was knew that he was going to do that, aside from the 18 cameramen that were surrounding him at the time he did it. I don't know. I found it kind of funny in that regard. Give it up to Hertl, though. Oh my God. I cannot loves me enough Hertl. I can't loves me anymore Hertl. I'm just saying. Rocket, do you still have, is there room inside you, next to the heart-shaped box that Brendan Dillon occupies? Can you find yourself some room for Tomas?
It's a skate-shaped box, and unfortunately, there's no other room for anyone but Brendan Dillon. Tomas Hertl is a sweet kid, and he is a huge piece of this team. His game is honest, and he's an asset to his teammates, and not only just to try to be productive, but to also make his teammates more productive, and I appreciate that about him.
I could not have said it better.
He's a big-bodied individual, and the more time he spends in this league, the better he gets throwing it around.
Jerk, if you're okay, well, let me give you a hypothetical. Jerk, you are putting together. You can draft. Now, the NHL has come out and said, you know what? We didn't make it easy enough for Vegas to make a team. We're going to make it super duper easy for Seattle. We're going to allow Seattle to take the first 5 players. They can pick anybody. There's no protection. There's nothing. They can sit there and say, I want McDavid. I want Crosby. I want Ovechkin. Blah, 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 blah. You can take the 5 players that you want. Is Hertl one of them in order to build your franchise? Take into account his age and what he has done this year.
Oh, man. See, I want to say no just because of how many game-breaking talents there are in the NHL. But at the same time, I want to say yes, because like Rocket alluded to, his size and the way he moves for his size, it's not something that's seen a whole lot in the NHL. And he has shown in this series and in the Vegas series that you can drape two guys on him. He's still going to find a way to, pop off the trapezoid line and wrap that puck, for a shot on goal or for a goal. So, I mean, maybe it's like I said, I'm torn. I see the merit in your argument that you're presenting, but it's a tough one for sure. I definitely think he is a super valuable player for this team or for any team to have. I think, we've talked about his development, obviously, and how it's a positive thing to see, just considering where his career's gone and all that stuff. But I think, I mean, he's done, he's done some work to cut the Blues up a little bit in years past. I'm hoping we see that again, because he, every time he seems like he hits his ceiling, he just breaks through it and keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. God, I love that kid so much.
One more thing, too, a little stat that I unearthed this morning. So, in the playoffs, 2019 playoffs, which have been rolling on for...
I'm sorry, the what?
Playoffs?
Don't talk about playoffs. Hurdle, our guy, leads the NHL in generating 42 high danger scoring chances, which is fantastic. The player with the second most high danger chances generated hasn't even hit 30.
And who is it? McKinnon?
I don't know who it is. I did not get that information, but yeah,
I am unsure.
But second place hasn't even hit 30 yet, and Hurdle's already at 42.
Jesus God, I can't tell you how much I love that kid.
It's always, and that's the thing. It's always like, oh, he's a really good skater. He's not tough, or he's really big. He's probably, a forklift on ice, right?
Yeah.
And Hurdle has somehow found a way to be a large, young man, and still is a super nimble skater and
defensively sound. I mean, he
absolutely.
We'll get to Game 7 in a moment, but he, I vividly remember Erik Karlsson having a really bad turnover on his own blue line, and it was Hurdle that was streaking back to cover him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I've kind of, you watch, the stereotypical NHL player, over the last 20, 30 years, and it's kind of, it's moved so much. You had the tut, right? You had the guys who can skate, Gretzky, Lemieux, Bobby Orr, like all these.
You ended up with guys like Steve Ott and Raffi Torres.
Yeah, and then you get into the era of like the tough guys, right? And now we're starting to get into that era where, like I said, it's the best of both worlds. You have the guy who can skate like a freaking, figure skater, he's so nimble and such a just smooth skater all the way through, but he's built very large and is very physical and is the best of both worlds. And you look at guys like Nathan McKinnon, guys like Mark Scheifele, guys like Sean Couturier, and I think you throw Thomas Hurdle in that mold as well. And okay, so Hurdle will, he'll probably never score 100 points in a season, but if the NHL is trending the direction I think it's trending, Hurdle is going to fit that stereotypical player mold to a T.
Yeah. I'm waiting for Hurdle to be the very first. I know he won't be the first, probably the second. He might be the first as a forward to be drafted by the Sharks and just lifelong San Jose bleed teal the entire time. I'm ready to give him a 10-year extension on like the 3 years that are left on his deal. You know what I mean? Loves me some Hurdle. Now,
and even then,
it's probably going to be Vlasic, right? Who ends up being Pavelski's good, but doesn't Vlasic have a scotch more time on his deal overall?
Yes. Technically, Pavelski joined the Sharks before Vlasic, but to your point, it wasn't much. It wasn't that far before. But
wait a minute, hold on. No, Vlasic was drafted in 05?
Vlasic was drafted in 2005. Joe Pavelski was drafted in 2003.
Oh, okay. Well,
but to your point, Vlasic has way more years left.
Yes. Well, being that this is Pavelski's UFA after this year, absolutely. But we all this talk about Hurdle. Let's hear from him himself.
It was great team effort. We just run away from start. We take control of the game. We got a couple of great chances first. We should put it in, but we just stay with it even after the goal, and we just keep pushing. And I think we deserve it tonight to win the game.
I could listen to Tomáš Hurdle speak the Yellow Pages because I love just how everything sounds like one long word.
Punctuation is not.
Punctuation be damned. Love him. Let's move on to game 6. The Sharks would lose this one 4-3 in overtime. Oh, wait a minute. They went to overtime in game 6. Where have I seen this before? Yes, yet again. All the offense in this one would come from the defense as Vlasic, Burns, and Vlasic again would score. Don't know where the offense hid. EK 65 would end up gliding on the second Comfort goal and then would have the balls to yell at Brendan Dillon on the bench when, if you go back and look at the replay, he should have been yelling at Joe Thornton because Joe is the one who missed the coverage on that. Colorado would get their offense from their third-line center, Comfer, who would net 2, and then fourth-line center, Tyson Jost, who would open the scoring. So let's just throw this to Rocket, and I'm going to basically, drop the mic right here. I think I might go go get a smoke. I might run to the bar and grab a cup of cocktails because we're about to talk about probably Rocket's favorite player being berated by Rocket's, I don't want to say most hated player because I'll let her do that.
Yeah. I hinted at this earlier. First of all, I need to apologize to everyone who expects me to be juicy and salacious with this. I'm not going to be, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I mentioned the other night about presenting a united front, and I think that's important to present a united front as a fan base. So I can't really get down on throwing any member of this team under the bus right now.
However,
after playoffs, we'll talk. But right now, everybody, I'm cool with. So, having said that, I'm gonna give people some credit, and I'm gonna say that they have a level of professionalism that is only surpassed by their passion for the sport. And I do not think that the physical and passionate demonstrations that we witnessed between that Erik Karlsson was giving us on the bench, I don't believe they were intended in communication to Brendan Dillon as berating or belittling. I just think that he was frustrated and needed to talk to somebody, and that was just therapy. I think he was venting. Overall frustration, frustration with his game, frustration with everybody's game. Maybe he's pissed off that they were out of Sour Patch Skittles or something, they always have my snacks, man. They didn't have my snacks tonight. I should have had snacks. Their snacks should have been sour apple. Tonight they were strawberry. I hate strawberries. We don't know what they were yelling about. So
in Ottawa, they have the Timmy Hortons coffee crisp. Why don't they have that here?
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, I cannot do the Swedish accent.
Yeah, you're terrible at it. Stop.
Yeah. No, everything is German.
So yeah, whatever. It happens. I get that he was frustrated, and you know what? He should have been. I personally what I took away from that game was that the Sharks were going to win Game 7, because if Colorado barely won it and San Jose barely lost it, then there was no way that San Jose wasn't oh, we're not they were just obligated to squash Colorado like a bug, and they did.
I'll tell you, look, I've never played professional sports. I know. Can you believe it? I know. Me neither. It's amazing. However, I've played sports. I've been in this situation where you're playing the team game, softball, baseball, football, hockey, basketball, whatever. I get the idea of seeing somebody fuck up a play or do the wrong thing and even the case of if you, especially if it's something, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. I don't want to spin a huge yarn, but I played softball for a long time, and there was a particular player, and I don't know how many times I told this guy, you get in front of the damn ball. Like, none of this Olay bullshit where you like let it go off to your side. Get in front of it. If you're in front of it, even if it doesn't hit your glove, you're going to stop it with your knees, your chest, your face, whatever. You're going to stop the ball. And no matter how many times I would tell bro, he would Olay because he just didn't want to get hit by the ball.
You were playing with Roger Dorn?
Yes. Just a bit outside. So this Olay bullshit.
That's what that was from. Like, immediately when you said that was all I could think about.
So yeah, so I get in. So when I would see that, I would bark at them in the back or in the dugout after a particular play or after the inning was over and go, stop it, get in front of the damn ball. Like, if you're gonna get it, do it. If not, then don't do this Olay bullshit. Don't try to do that, because then what's going to happen is you're going to get a piece of the ball, and then you're just going to slow it down for the outfielder, which is going to making the play more difficult. So that's the thing that used to drive me crazy. But when I saw EK65 yelling at Dylan when actually Thornton was the one that wasn't getting back, and Thornton was essentially the one that missed the coverage, I'm going, does EK not have the balls to say something to Thornton, so he's going to yell at Dylan? I don't know. Again, there's a lot of things you could read into that, and like Rocket explained, it's a case of passionate in the moment, blah blah blah. Either way, is EK65 long for this life wearing a teal sweater? We shall see.
I am unsure.
I am unsure.
All I could think of when you were talking about getting in front of the ball and you said do it, all I could think of was just do it. Do it. Just do it.
All I can hear, honestly, in my mind right now, because Rocket brought it up, is none of this Olay bullshit.
I've been alluding to it all podcast.
Let her rip.
This was the Sharks' worst game of the series.
Well, thank God you finally told us.
and here's what. Now, don't get me wrong. I was very nervous for Game 7. I'm usually cool as a cucumber when it comes to stuff like this, except when it comes to playoffs. I'm like I freak out, and I was nervous for Game 7 because this is the year to do it and blah 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 and all that crap. But the thing that gave me a certain level of optimism for Game 7 was this was the worst game of the series for the Sharks, and they went to overtime tied up at 3.
Yeah.
And so that kind of gave me hope. But also, you mentioned earlier, AJ, that in Game 4, Brent Burns was a disaster on defense, and you're absolutely correct. But would you also say that Games 5, 6, and 7, he was like Vlasic level defensively aware? Like
he definitely learned from 3 and 4, because I thought that I was just like, Jesus Christ, is it the altitude? Like what? Like, because Burns was great Games 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, I'm like, what? Can we get a different bearded individual out here? Because this one ain't getting it done.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, if you look at if you pull up the stats, which I mean, we all love stats here. Game 4, as we said, Game 4 tire fire. But you know what? Game 5, 6, and 7, the Burns-Vlasic pairing held Nathan MacKinnon to 0 points in those final 3 games. And I just, everybody talks about Brent Burns, how his defense sucks and this, that, and the other. But you have a hard time convincing me that this year, maybe it's not been perfect, but it's been better. But I thought specifically in Games 5 through 7, he's played the best defense of his tenure with the Sharks. And as an aside, too, Game 6 was kind of cool to see Brent Burns be the shutdown guy and Vlasic get 2 goals. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
So what I'm taking from this is Hockey Jerk is no longer among the train of put Brent Burns to forward.
No. See, I got off.
Here we go.
See, I got off that train back in 2014 when I had my credential revoked. I mean, what?
Oh, damn.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Wait, what?
Oh, let's move on. Game 7, 3-2 win.
Dun, dun.
3-2 win for the Sharks. They would spoiler alert, the Sharks won the series.
Oh,
there was
Hey, I was waiting until the weekend to watch the game. You spoiled it for me.
Sorry, bro. No, the really weird part is when they found like 3 Starbucks cups in the bench. It was really odd. No morning skate for the Sharks, but the Avalanche do. I wonder if that had anything to do with it. Probably not. The return of Pavelski. As we spoke about it early on in the show, we all know Pavelski. Oh, my Lord. That ridiculous hit, fall, whatever you want to call it. Either way, dude was leaking from the dome. There's a lot of talk. Would he make it back this season? Would he make it back this series? And the really funny thing is that if you go back and listen to tealtownusa After Dark, after Game 6, I do believe Rocket was asked, will Pavelski play this series? She said no.
I said no.
Puck Guy was asked, will Pavelski play this series? And after dancing around the question for about 10 minutes, he finally said no. Yours truly said, yes, he will play. And what happened? The Pavelski, he played something ridiculous at 1:40 into the first. I'm sorry, I went on a little. Anyway,
that was bizarre.
Yeah, I know, it was a little cool. So Nathan McKinnon would go awkwardly into the boards. He wouldn't return until the end of the first and would end up stopping taking any type of things that resemble the face-off. But Pavelski would open the scoring, tipping a burn shot, of course, because that's what Pavelski does, kids.
Hurdle dumped it in. Now he's going to put his body in the way of the puck to dig it around the boards. Kerfoot there at the near sideboards, kicked it away from Kane. Hurdle takes it back, flips to the right point, burns the shot, score! Guess who tipped that puck in front of the net? That's right, it's the captain, Joe Pavelski, and the Sharks take the 1-0 lead in Game 7.
Let's be honest. If we were in a society where censorship didn't matter, Dan Ruski was going to be going, guess who tipped it? Joe fucking Pavelski. That's who. Am I right?
Don't think, no, I don't think it's his character.
Oh,
sorry.
I felt like I could hear it in there. But anyway, Pavs would open up the scoring, tipping a burn shot. Now, here's the funny part, and I'm just going to side rail this for a hot second. In the pregame for this show, you had Brody Brazil, Devin Setaguchi, Curtis Brown on the pre-show. And the really funny thing is, and because it was made, a lot was made of this by our friend Brody Brazil, that Devin Setaguchi called that Pavelski was going to score first. And like it would be, maybe tipping a burn shot or something like that. But it was, and Brody making like just all sorts of hotness on top of that. And I sat there and I'm going, well, now wait a minute. Because I remember being at Game 1 versus Vegas, talking to Jonathan Becker, saying, he goes, who do you think gets the first goal? And I think Puck Guy said Kane or something like that. And Jonathan Becker said, I think it's going to be Hurdle or Couture. And I was like, nope, it's going to be Pavelski tipping in a burn shot on the power play. And that is literally exactly what happened. I'm still waiting to get my foreseen points in the mail from Hockey Jerk.
You already got them.
Okay, but it was confirmed. I got it. So just to hear this whole thing, like, Devin called it. And I'm like, bitch, he didn't call it on the power play. I did. Okay, anyway.
As the kids say, you have the receipts?
I do. I have them. I have them receipts. Oh.
Hey, now.
So Hurdle.
I'm really quick, totally off topic.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm still not convinced that sound clip you just played is not you.
Hey now.
That's
yeah,
that's not me.
That's That's got to be you.
That's you.
It isn't. Hey now. Nope.
Hey now.
Nope. Not me.
That sounds exactly the same.
Nope. Not me. Anyway.
Shenaniganery.
Yeah, I agree.
Hurdle. Okay, let's move on. Hurdle would pick up the second goal of this one. And guess who got involved on the assist?
Slowed up by Cale Makar, but recovering it now. Hurdle turning away from Eric Johnson. Sharks changing on the fly here. Hurdle, nifty pass getting in, and Kane the shot on net. That's a stick save by Grubauer and a great scoring chance. In front again. The Sharks score. Tomas Hurdle getting the feed from behind the net. And wow, what a play. Joe Pavelski involved once again as the Sharks lead 2-0.
You talk about returning after an injury. I mean, oh my God. Opening goal. He assists on the second goal. He drew a penalty. I mean, holy crap, jerk. Have you ever seen like a return to form after, like 13 days earlier, there's shots of you just completely splayed out on the ice, leaking from your dome.
Well, I mean, if you were on Twitter before Game 7, there's a certain individual who thinks that Pavelski was faking, and there was a whole conspiracy theory, and there may or may not have been some shaved head and staples involved. And yeah, no, you know what?
He had those Hollywood blood packs like stuffed into his helmet just in case.
Somebody threw a tomato at him. No, you know what? Let's not pretend like I love Joe Pavelski, favorite player of all time. Been there, got the t-shirt, told the story. But to see him come back, to your point, from that very gruesome injury and just take control of that first period, like that's what you want to see from your captain, right? And that's what you want to see, as a fan of the team who theoretically had zero momentum going into this game. Because like I said, I did have some level of optimism for the Sharks winning this game, but there was a lot telling me that the Avalanche were just going to roll through and take it, and that was going to be the end of it. And, obviously with Pavelski, he was rested, not rusted, which is good as always, but just it's one of those things where it's like it writes almost like a movie. You know what I mean? Oh. Like it's just you can't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, Rocket, you have to think like after you saw him waving that towel after the Sharks took the lead in Game 5, even though on the show after Game 6 you were like, no, he doesn't come back. You had to kind of like there's something a little bit in the back of your mind going, God damn it, he's going to come back, isn't he?
No, I really didn't think so because it just you never know. And with the gamesmanship, the team will always do their best to keep the other teams guessing whether or not someone is going to make a return to the lineup. So I think that emotionally it charged everybody up and it needed to happen. As far as like, he'd make an appearance, and because I didn't. Yeah, I pretty much like when he showed up in a suit and nobody thought that he would, or nobody expected him to. Just to say hi to the crowd and everything. I pretty much figured that he wasn't going to come back for the series, because I figured that if he was going to come out and he was going to be come back with the lineup, then they wouldn't have to trot him out to tell, to say hi. He would just be back.
That's a good point, because if he, for all we knew at the time, that him going out to the crowd before Game 5, that very easily could have been bye. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Could have been the swan song for all we knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
where were his staples? Conspiracy theory. Staplegate.
Staplegate.
Oh my Lord. Mikko Rantanen would score with 6 seconds left in the first to make it a 2-1 game and put a little bit of doubt into the crowd. Not gonna lie, I was hurting on that one, and as was Marc-Edouard Vlasic. If you watched his reaction, he was pissed at himself for letting that happen. Now, the weird part about this, and again, somehow it's Game 7 drama, Colorado appeared to tie the game when Colin Wilson scored from the slot off a pass of Nathan McKinnon at 7:49 of the second period, but Peter DeBoer throwing out a gutsy challenge for offside, and the video review showed that Landeskog in the zone ahead of the puck before going off for a change, an incredibly gutsy call by DeBoer, and booyah, we hear the call.
After coach's challenge, it's determined the play was offside.
Okay, this guy is no Wes McCauley. I'm going to give him that.
He tried though. It was a valiant effort.
It was. It wasn't the drama of a Wes McCauley call, but it was close. But soon after that, I believe about 4 minutes after that, a guy who, let me see, the last time he scored a goal, I believe that St. Louis was 28th in the league. And in fact, if I remember an episode or two ago, both Hockey Jerk and myself were telling him
goodbye.
So pretty impressive that Jonas Donskoy has a goal very reminiscent of what he did versus Pittsburgh in 2016.
Gunned around the near side by the Sharks forwards. Melker Karlsson's in front of the net. Carrying behind the goal, here's Donskoy. Moving out in front. Shoots! He scores! Jonas Donskoy, his first goal since January the 10th. And the Sharks have a 3-1 lead.
I love that Rusanowski has delay then.
Wow.
The dude hasn't scored in 4 freaking months, man.
Hey, that's the first time Jonas Donskoy has scored since I turned 41.
Oh, hey now.
Yeah.
You know what? For once, I'm just happy to be wrong because I said on Twitter that he was never going to score again.
Oh, that's what I'm saying, dude. We were all there, dude.
Goodbye.
Yeah, but Donskoy would give the Sharks a 3-1 lead. The eventual game-winning goal. Yost would score 51 seconds into the third, and then the Sharks would go about 10, 11 minutes without even putting a shot on goal. This was Prevent D at its finest, people, but a ton of scary moments after Grubauer was pulled in the final 2:10, but Jones would stop everything. And in this one, again, I'm sorry, I'm going to lament on him. EK65. The Sharks took 3 penalties in this game. EK65 took 2 of them, and both of them were the incredibly lazy variety. Okay. I'm just going to say it, but we talk about the final call. Let's talk about the final call. And I'm going to put this out here. I don't know who is making the initial call on this because what you're about to hear are 2 different voices. You're going to hear Dan Rusanowski in the second part of it. In the first part of it, now Hockey Jerk will probably know who it is, and we'll talk about it after the call. I don't know who this guy is, but I love him. I love him. I don't know if he's the Colorado radio guy or who he is, but listen to this call because this guy is fantastic, and he makes Jones look like he invented goaltending. Listen to this.
Brennan, 52-second shot hit. What a save, Jones. Point blank on Kerfoot. What a denial. Keeping it 3-2, San Jose. Barry, left side, shot McKinnon, redirected. Another great save by Jones with a glove hand. 41 seconds to play, and the Sharks still lead by a goal with a face-off to the right of Marty Jones. One last draw. Hurdle against Landeskog just outside the zone. This is it for the Colorado Avalanche and for the Sharks. Derek Amell drops the puck. Pavelski's got it. Lifts it clear, and the horn sounds, and the San Jose Sharks are going to the Western Conference Final. Sharks off the bench to congratulate Martin Jones, who came up with some huge saves down the stretch. Jonas Donskoy is going to get credit for the series winner, and the Sharks win Game 7.
I'm just telling you right now. Jerk, do you know who did the initial call?
I do not, but I
want that guy to give me my eulogy when I pass.
I was going to say, I think you might be right in assuming he's the Colorado radio guy.
I want that guy to be my voice for Siri.
Yeah. Dude, I want him to be my voice for Waze. Like, you got to turn right now. That guy was fantastic. I don't know who dude, stick taps to you, my brother. Oh my God. Oh, but it was all about Pavelski's return in this one, and here's Brent Burns.
He gets a goal and assist in the first period, draws a penalty. We know what he does on the ice, but did it bring an emotional lift as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think we saw what happened with him, and he works to get back, and he was always around with us and stuff, but just to have him back, it's huge. He's just such a big part of our team on the ice and off the ice. I mean, everything kind of fits in after he comes back, and so it was big. Great to see too, right out of the gates. Big goal for us, and big second goal, and yeah, it was huge.
See, now how funny would that be if Pierre Maguire was like, you saw your captain come back tonight. How awesome was that for you? I'm telling you, I want that guy to do my eulogy. I want him to do my, just every significant event in my life. I want him to be the color guy for it. God, that guy was good. Okay. So that's the way it would end. The Sharks 4-3 in the series over the Colorado Avalanche. We're going to do it real quick here, guys. Oh, the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. For me, the good was Burns. Burns did have a really fantastic series. He was a little dormant in between, but on the outer edges, game 1, game 2, game 7, but he did have some nice defensive plays here and there. Burns is my good, along with Pavelski returning in game 7. I mean, a fantastic story. Rocket, you're kind of good for this series versus the Colorado Avalanche.
Well, I think my good isn't going to go to a specific person. Actually, yes, it is. My good about this series.
Dylan.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No. I'm going to say that the good thing about this series is that it, again, was not a car wash made out of sledgehammers. That was the best thing about it for me.
At the car wash. Oh,
no.
Yeah.
That's a good point, because I mean, you don't want to go into the Western Conference Final totally just beat to shit. You know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly. That'd be great. We battled past Vegas. Oh yeah, we got past Colorado, and we got swept in Western Conference because everybody was dead.
I'm going to pay for the extra wax, and yes, please put those little cool smelly things under my seats. The car needs to smell good. Okay.
I forgot about those things. Pacific Car Wash, man. Pacific Car Wash off Santa Clara used to hook it up.
Hey now.
Yeah.
The bad for me, the officiating.
Hold on.
Oh, what's up?
I did not have a good.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, bring the good.
So the good was that Colorado only won 3 games. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, you know what? There are so many easy answers for this series. So I'm gonna spin it here. Gustav Nyquist. Now 4 assists in 7 games. There's no goals there, but you know what? He's making things happen. He has appeared to be able to play well with whomever he's with, whether it's Couture and Meyer, whether it's with Hurdle and Kane, or Thornton and Barclay Goodrow, whoever he's with, he's making things happen, and it's not going in for him aside from those 4 assists. But I think he's been not one of the best. He's been one of the sturdiest players for this playoff run. And I'm hoping and I'm expecting that for the 3rd round against the Blues, I really think the dam is going to burst for him.
I hope so, because he's been really defensively responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping he's able to get some sort of luck, some sort of beneficiary result on the score sheet, if you will. The bad for me, oh my Lord, the officiating in the Stanley Cup final continues to be an ever-present shit show. It's completely awful. It's completely inconsistent. But then again, what else is new? Do me a favor, get on Twitter. Look during the months of April and May and just search, do an advanced search. NHL ref, you suck. And you will see a litany of posts that have occurred over the last April and May of the last decade on there. But the whole thing is a lot of people saying, there needs to be better review. There needs to be more review. Let's be honest. Even if you review every little goddamn thing, there's still going to be fans that are out there that say, oh, they got it wrong. They still got it wrong. So then why bother reviewing everything, just like let's get rid of it, because the offside call against Landeskog, it was ticky tacky. It was, they call on Eakin versus Vegas. That again, ticky tacky, should have been on Stastny, to be honest. But you look at that, you just go, oh God, this. Are you going to review everything to death? Are we going to get to the point where we're going to review every ball and strike in baseball? It's just, either way, there's going to be a grouping of fans who see it one way no matter what you call. So why inject so many things to slow down the game? That's my whole thing for the bad part. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit the spiral. Rocket, you're bad for this series.
My bad was AJ spiraling out of control talking about his dad.
There you go. And
No,
Hockey
man.
Jerk, you're bad. I am unsure.
Did you have something, Rocket?
Not really. Like, there's not too much that was bad. I mean, like, the only thing that was bad about this series was
Was EK65 yelling at Dylan?
No, dude. I know that they knew that certain aspects of the Colorado Avalanche's game were going to be much easier to negotiate than Las Vegas's. And I think that this lulled them into a false sense of security, so that there were some games that not everybody checked in and showed up to play. And it was just laziness on their part because they knew. And it was kind of like at that point where I quit being concerned for them, because, like, well, if they know they can beat them, then I know they can beat them. So they're just gonna beat them, whatever. And yeah, and they just won. They just won the game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jerk, you're bad.
So my bad for this series was the fact that for probably 40 to 60% of it, the Avalanche were the better team.
Yes.
And I mean, from that perspective, you hate to see, a team play so well and not be able to get it done. But at the same time, the Sharks were the better team when they needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you hope that now, two 7-game series that have gone the distance, that have featured their fair shares of adversity and tough times, you hope that it kind of, and you factor in an extra day off as well going into the Western Conference Final. You hope that the Sharks kind of get their head back on straight a little bit, and they, play as well defensively as they have been the last couple of years. And you kind of hope they just, it's a cliche, but just, keep it simple, stupid. Like don't try and do anything too crazy. Don't panic. Don't try and make things come out of nothing. Just take your time. Stay cool. It's all good. Just relax.
I don't know what sitcom it is, but there was somewhere you just reminding me of it. It's like, okay, you can do anything you want, but don't get crazy. That's what you sound like right now. For the ugly, look, come at me, bro. EK65, dude was ugly this series. There was a lot of ugly from EK65 this series, to the point where I am completely right now in the camp of, yes, by all means, Eric, help us win a cup this season, and then take your ass somewhere else, because we do not want you. I'm sorry. I am not an EK65 fan. For me, the guy embodies the idea of diva. He is everything that is like not blue collar. He's like the anti-Mike Ricci. Essentially what it is. Ricci is a guy who would get his nose dirty no matter what it took, and he would do anything he could to get it done. EK65, I have seen him make pinches that were bad decisions, thinking that his skates would get him out of trouble, and he wasn't able to get back in time. I've seen him get pyloned. I have seen him avoid contact. I'm sorry. EK65, this guy, to quote an episode of Seinfeld, this is not my type of guy. Rocket, you're ugly for the final series.
Rocket, you're ugly.
Rocket, you're ugly. And what do you think about the second round?
No, Rocket is a beautiful human being. Continue.
Thank you. My ugly. Gosh. I don't know. I think that my ugly for this series was just that it will be marred by bad calls that went the Sharks' way. Which is weird because usually it's the other way, which is this is a bad call that the series was marred by. And as a fan base, we're trying not to sound like a bunch of homers and be like, "Oh, why did we do?" And be like, "No, this is what happens. And just suck it up and deal with it. They were the better team."
Welcome to the league.
Exactly. Yeah. So, it's frustrating that now we have to be on the other side of it, where people are going to be like, "Oh, the referees handed the Sharks the game. Oh, Joe Pavelski didn't have any staples in his head. Logan Couture's teeth are made out of wisdom and gold. Lies." There's all those little tinfoil conspiracy hockey heads out there, and God bless them. Bless your hearts, as they say in Nashville. But that's the ugly part about it. Just shut up. Enjoy your off season.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't give me none of this Olay bullshit.
Give him the heater.
Forget about the turkey stuff, Ricky. Give him the heater. Jerk. Did you get your ugly in here?
My ugly.
Get your ugly in here. Why don't you? You get your ugly in here.
So I have to say, both of your guys' uglies, I 100% agree with, and they were so well pontificated that I don't think I can make an ugly about this series. So I'm going to make an ugly about a different series from the second round.
Hey, dude, if you bring up Boston, I swear to God, I'm gonna punch you in the mouth. Okay.
We'll get there. My ugly for round 2 of the playoffs is the fact that St. Louis won.
Damn! What are you trying to say about Ben Bishop and Jamie Benn and everybody else?
I hate St. Louis.
Why do you have such a Jones for St. Louis?
I don't. I hate St. Louis.
Yeah, he hates.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, why do you have such a huge hate on?
How much time you got?
Oh,
well, we're not doing
they're just one of the.
Hold on, he needs time, people.
Oh, come on, rude. No, I want to hear about why you hate the Blues so much, because I'm not a big fan of them either, but I don't have the seething dislike of them that you do.
Hold on. Do you really hate them?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I've been waiting to use that.
I mean, granted, I will say this hatred has worn off a little bit because of the players they've brought in. But for the longest time, they just employed a lot of players that I did not like. Steve Ott, F.U., David Backes, F.U., Jake Allen's still there, F.U., and, they're – I mean, oh, dude, I hate David. I hate David.
David. I give you some stuff.
No, okay,
dude. Do you hate him more as a Golden Knight or as a Blue?
David Perron is. If you've ever heard or ever seen, who hasn't, at the end of the year, the NHL media first All-Star team, second All-Star team, David Perron is the captain of the Hockey Jerk. I hate that guy All-Star team. Because
I would like to nominate Mike Smith as the goaltender of that team.
Because David Perron likes to stick his nose and stuff, and then he can't stand up for himself, and he folds, at a gust of air from somebody on the opposing team, and he's just a.
Are you trying to tell me that he has a case of Marchanditis?
He is a case of a lot of player-itis. He's just a. I'm trying not to use certain words. He's just a baby, really.
Sounds like a piece of shit is what you're trying to tell me.
And I just feel like he epitomizes St. Louis. And I'm, and fans are fans, right? If you're the West, you can be a fan of whatever team you want, and that's fantastic. And I'm not one to make generalizations. However, I feel like St. Louis Blues fans, the majority of them, not saying all, the majority are just like obnoxious, and they whine at like everything. I can't tell you how many clean hits from the 2016 West Final that were booed because the Blues fans were losing their mind over it.
All right, but here's the deal. Here's the thing. You got to remember that this ties into local culture, right? And you also have to remember that St. Louis is in driving distance, easy driving distance to Nashville. So the Nashville culture of that like, hey, you suck, and we're very vocal about everything, and yeehaw, that's very much Missouri. Even if they don't want to admit it, St. Louis, I'm looking at you. So
So what you're saying is we should find that picture of the two cartoon Spider-Mans pointing at each other and just put stupid above each of them.
Oh my God. Come on, look. No, wait. Let me inject just a little bit of something else.
Okay.
Now you can bag on Nashville all you want. I mean, Rocket is certainly has the the experience of being right there.
I have a card. I'm a carded member.
Yeah, she's a carded member of the Nashville Predators experience. Now, when it comes to St. Louis, I don't have a hatred for the team that Jerk does. Now you talk to the AJ that was around about 20 years ago? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. Oh yeah. I still think that Chris Pronger can go fuck himself 20 ways from Sunday.
BigWhinyDefenseman.com.
BigWhinyDefenseman.com. I got a lot of respect for Al McGinnis though. Hell of a player. But Chris Pronger, yeah, no, that guy can just go. He can go get bent 20 ways from Sunday. God, what a whiny bitch. I'm not even kidding you. Back in the day. Now, this is the team that Owen Nolan had the center ice goal against Roman Turek in Game 7 back in 2000. The following year, the Sharks saw St. Louis in the playoffs, and St. Louis blew San Jose's doors off. There was a little bit to hate about St. Louis back then. Now that we're talking, almost 20 years later, there's really not been any. But now, granted, Jerk, you have to realize, people that are listening, Jerk watches a shit ton more hockey overall than Rocket and I do. But yeah, to me, there's and this is, to me, is the problem with the playoff schematic, is the way that it's set up, where it's like you have to play, and your first two rounds have to be in division, of course, unless it's your division winner and the wild card is in a different division. I get that part, but there was some good runs against St. Louis. There's some good playoff history between Colorado back in the day and the Sharks in Dallas back in the day. And back when that was happening, Anaheim and LA weren't even a fart in the elevator. So there was some good runs between those games. And then once they switched everything, I don't know. But either way, bottom line is, I don't have the hatred. I don't think that Rocket has the hatred for St. Louis right now that Jerk has for St. Louis. But you know what? Give Rocket and I like a game or two in this series, and I'm sure we'll find a reason to be pissed off.
Well,
it's in the neighborhood.
And like I said, a lot of that stems from just like the players they employed. Like I said, probably in the mid to late 2000s. I mean, like I said, David Perron, not a fan. David Backes, not a fan. Steve Ott, not a fan. And so it's just like,
I know, but I always associate Steve Ott with Dallas, not St. Louis.
That's fair. Well, and also too, what I equate a lot of that to as well is, you have to remember, and for those of you who don't know how old I am, you will now. Like the series, those series against the Blues, like, even in 2011, I mean, I wasn't a baby, but I was not a quote unquote adult, right? And the Blues were one of those teams where it's like, I hate them because I'm a Sharks fan, kind of thing, Yeah. And Lord. And it's I was the same way with the Calgary Flames, up until about 2 years ago. So like I said before, the player personnel they have now has, kind of taken me off that ledge a little bit. But like I said,
I can see on that. You know what it see, here's the funny thing is like the Calgary Flames, Theo Fleury. Remember Theo Fleury?
Yeah.
Like almost 30 years ago. He's the only thing that like rubbed me the wrong way about the Flames. Like to me, the Flames, there was something about them early on versus the Sharks that I didn't care for. About 97, 98, I don't know. When the hell did Iginla join the league? Like 03, 04, somewhere there?
It was not that late. It was he joined the league in like the late 90s, but he didn't become like a
he didn't become like the name.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like me as a kid, I couldn't stand Jerome McGinley because he kept scoring against the Sharks and pissed me off.
But see, this whole thing is like once Fleury was off the Flames, I really didn't have a problem with the Flames. Like there was, they never seemed to be like any type of impediment, and they were never a roadblock for the Sharks for the longest time. It felt like, well, okay, 2004 notwithstanding, but for the most part, there was not a heel from that team. Where there are plenty of reasons for me to hate Vancouver. There's a couple reasons for me to hate Edmonton. There is a metric ton of reasons for me to hate Vegas right now. And I will say 98% of that is on their fan base on social media, which is kind of similar to how Vancouver fans were in 2011. But anyway, there's some reasons for me to like, what am I saying? Fuck Anaheim, fuck LA, because they're SoCal, they're rivals. But like, I've never really had a problem with Arizona, probably because I've never perceived them as a threat. And I think Calgary is a little bit of the same. But man, no, no, dude, I feel you. There's just a couple teams where it's just like, I hope to God, like, a house of locusts descends upon you every morning that you wait. You know what I mean? But anyway, wow, have we gone like incredibly like, okay, Tuma, okay, let's go for it, guys.
Oh, good for you.
3 stars of round 2. Rocket, who is yours?
Oh, I got it. Okay. I thought about this in the car the other day, so I do actually have it planned. I don't know his name, but
I'm sorry, does he not play for the Sharks?
No, he does, but he's not on the roster. He's the video coach. Or the
Dan Darrow.
Yeah.
He's the guy who caught the offside call, right?
Yeah, because what I realized when he caught it was that not only did he catch the offsides, but he knew the rule. And
yeah,
I know immediately he knew that the rule was just archaic and like just it's a badly written rule.
Dude, it is a call, or it's a rule that dude has had in his back pocket for the last 12 years, just waiting to whip out.
Yeah, and so that was the night, and he was there with his A game, and he like slammed that button down. Was like, Pete, call it, Pete, and he did, and
He's
look
like,
at
bitches
how,
have been asking for receipts for 12 years. Watch this,
blammo, and now all of the Colorado Avalanche fan base is salty because we've got a good video review coach. So thanks, Dan. You're my number 1 star of the second round.
See, and how great is it now that they have screens all throughout the benches? Because I've mentioned this before, but I remember a couple years ago.
5 years there, 5 years from 5 years ago. No one's asking for that call.
Well, but also like I remember vividly like a team. I don't remember who the Sharks played, but they scored against the Sharks, and they cut to the bench, and all you see is Jay Woodcroft running down the hallway. He's like, wait.
Yes.
He's like, wait. No,
running into the dressing room to watch the TV in the room, which you knew wasn't even fucking high def.
Yeah, and that's a solid pick, Rocket. It's a solid pick.
Thank you.
Jerk, yours.
So my number 1 star is Nathan McKinnon. No, I'm just kidding. It's got to be Hurdle. I mean, like I said, he's the only player game to game this series who had any consistency outside of Martin Jones and Mark Edward Vlasic for that matter. But he even in games where maybe he didn't play his best, he didn't factor into the score sheet, he turned around and came back and kind of rectified that a little bit, would put up a goal in the next game. And you look at it now, he's got 9 goals in the playoffs, and which is impressive because A, he leads the whole playoffs in scoring, but B as well, if you prorate that over an 82 game season, that's 52 goals.
Jesus.
So
my boy killing it.
It's like we always, and yes, AJ was very first on the hurdle train. I will give you that.
Still driving it.
It's like I always say, might be good.
Yeah. For me, it's, I think you could make a little bit of a case for Burns because of the first two games and the final game. You could make some case for Couture because of the hat trick game. But I was looking at two guys, to be honest with you. It was Hurdle, who's already been taken, but dude, Martin Jones, I just love the fucking story, man. I mean, the guy pulled in 2 of 3 games in the first 4 starting against Vegas, then and dodged the media after game 4, went into the bus. It was like, I don't even want to talk to anybody. And then since then, game 5, game 6, game 7, win against Vegas. And then granted, yeah, he dropped 3 out of the 7 versus Colorado. Show me the soft goal that he should have had, because I will show you a bucket load that he should have had versus Vegas in games 2, 3, and 4. You cannot find a goal that you can sit there and legitimately make a case over 7 games versus Colorado and say, you know what, Jones probably should have had that one. It's just, no. Martin Jones, I don't know what the hell you did if you got your, chakras aligned, found your chi, went to, India and studied with the what's the cat's name? Rocket, the
Dalai Lama.
Yeah, Dalai Lama. Who did the Beatles studied with? The Maharishi or whatever.
The Maharaji.
Yeah, whatever it is, dude. Martin Jones. God damn. Keep being whatever makes you during the spring.
He went to a Tony Robbins seminar.
That's I am okay. Yeah, hey. Yeah, that's right.
If you want to be a good goalie, just stop the puck.
He went to a Rich Dad Poor Dad seminar. Picked up some tips.
And here's audio from Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So let's, Jesus Christ, we've spent so much, and apologies. That's right. Time for Shark Bites. And apologies to the affiliates. We're going to run way long because that's what we do when it's a wrap up of an entire series.
The Pucknologists are in overtime.
Yes, but double overtime. Somebody
Double
get Barclay
overtime.
Goodrow. Somebody get Barclay Goodrow in here. Yeah, double secret overtime. Oh my hockey jerk. 0.0. Okay, so Shark Bites. Tealtown USA. I don't know if you know this, but we got a pretty snazzy shirt up there that says "Win It for Jumbo," and we have very limited quantities left. I am not even lying. Only a couple mediums, a few larges, a couple extra larges left. Everything else completely sold out. So if you want to get yourself a badass, very cool looking Win It for Jumbo shirt that was designed by Tealtown USA's Puck Guy, go grab one now, quickly. Hopefully there's still a couple left. If you don't believe me, just go look at the design on the website. It's awesome. For Shark Bites, now look, if you listen to the last show, you heard Rocket trying to talk me off the ledge when it comes to Vegas, saying, dude, let it go. We've won the goddamn series. Move on. Now, I was fine with letting it go.
But
somehow Las Vegas's George McPhee clearly had some thoughts and was not ready to let it go just yet. His thoughts on the way that the Sharks played in this series didn't take long to slip out during his season-ending press conference. Quote, "Our guys played their guts out. I like the way they completed for this organization, for this city. I think it's a team that people can be proud of. They play hard. They play honest. They don't embellish. We don't cheat. We play the game right. We play hard." Who the hell are you talking about when you're saying they don't embellish, we don't cheat? Are you trying to say that the Sharks did embellish? Like when Couture got a stick in his grill and lost multiple teeth? Are you trying to talk about the game following that when Couture got a stick near his eye and went down? Are you trying to say either of those are embellishing or cheating? Now let's call, something, let's call Vegas what it is. We're talking about a team that employs Colin Miller, who was fined as a repeat offender for diving less than a month ago on March 30th versus, the San Jose Sharks. So you're going to say you don't embellish? You literally have a player on your team that less than a month ago was called out for that. You're saying we don't cheat. I'm sorry, didn't Nate Schmidt get suspended for 20 games at the start of the season because he was using performance-enhancing drugs?
No, not necessarily.
What was he called out for?
Well, yes, he was called out for a banned substance, but he didn't knowingly take the banned substance.
I'm not saying he knowingly took it, but when you've got your GM saying, we don't cheat, we don't embellish, yet there is literally proof of you cheating and embellishing, whether you knew you were doing it or not, it just seems a little bit like the stones you're throwing from your glass house are pretty huge.
Why are we still talking about that?
I have a quote from Jonathan Marchessault. Would you like to hear it?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure, bring it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And, you want to sit there. And here's the funniest part. It's like, okay, so, the NHL, they called and they apologized. Okay. Did they rescind the game misconduct to Eakin? Because if not, I don't know if, McPhee, I'm not saying he's lying about the apology, but if you don't rescind the game misconduct, it kind of sounds like a little kind of like we're just trying to make you feel better.
I thought they did, though.
I have not seen anything. I've seen wall-to-wall posts about, look, the NHL apologized to Vegas. San Jose should have never have won, despite the fact that we couldn't stop 4 goals in 4 minutes. But San Jose should have never have won, despite that we had the same amount of chances during 18 minutes of overtime.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to sit there and go that, whatever. But anyway, that's it. That's the final word on Vegas. I never want to talk about these schmucks again until the next season.
No,
Stop blaming the refs for your ineptitude and incompetence. Stop. So let's wrap it around the league. The Boston Bruins beat the Blue Jackets in 6, despite John Tortorella's prediction that it would go 7. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Marchand is stomping sticks. He's sucker punching Harrington. No response from the NHL, which to me is incredibly surprising. And then, of course, he, comes off like a 12-year-old little girl with a skinned knee when he's asked questions that he doesn't like in an interview with Kyle. And then Child. Let's see. I wanted to say child because I'm looking at the word Marchand. But anyway, Charlie McAvoy gets suspended for 1 game for an illegal check to the head on Blue Jackets forward Josh Anderson, despite the fact that the hit is nearly identical to the hit that Braden McNabb put on Justin Braun in round 1 in game 3, which that hit didn't even rate a hearing, despite the fact that Joe Thornton got hung up for a game after a similar hit to Thomas Nosek. Now, was the hit that Thornton laid out far more egregious? Absolutely. Deserved a game. But go back, look at the video. You can find it, Tealtown USA on YouTube. The video is up there. On Instagram, video is up there. The hit that McAvoy put on Josh Anderson is nearly identical to the hit that McNabb put on Justin Braun. McAvoy gets a penalty and a suspension. McNabb, no penalty, not even a frigging call from Department of Player Safety. Jerk, your thoughts.
There you go. You have it. No, I mean, you know what? Like,
It just goes back to the same shit with the officials where it's like, well, some days you're the windshield, some days you're the bug.
Ooh, that's a good analogy.
I'm just saying.
No, but yeah, it's like, I mean, it's frustrating, right? Absolutely, that there's an inconsistency, but it's like I said earlier, you kind of have to you have to roll with what's given to you. And I think, I don't know, I don't have a good answer for why it is the way it is. So that's why I usually default to it is what it is as my response, just because it's like, it's, like I said earlier about, because, going back, like in game 5 of the Sharks series against the Avalanche, Nathan McKinnon was pissed, because he wasn't doing anything helpful. And you know what? It's like I said, good players and good teams find a way to adjust to the crap that's thrown at them, and they win games and win series. And, the Avalanche didn't do that. And so, Boston clearly did that. I mean, they beat the Carolina Hurricanes tonight without Charlie McAvoy, who's one of their best defensemen. So, it's all about adjusting to what's thrown at you. And I mean,
well, I will say this. I understand that the game changes over time. It evolves, blah, blah, blah. But like I'm saying, you literally see almost an identical play that game 3 of round 1, not a penalty. Oh, but it's game 5 of round 2. Oh, now all of a sudden the almost identical hit, now it's a penalty. That's, to me, is not doing the NHL any favors. I think that's one of the things that you can point at and sit there and go, this is why fans laugh at you. This is why fans dump all over you, is because of your insane amount of inconsistency. And, I think they need to do a better job. Maybe like we want to sit there and say, you know what, the refs, the on-ice officials, they don't need to officiate every little goddamn thing, but maybe Department of Player Safety needs to take a second look more at stuff that happens and deal out a bit more supplemental discipline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. And it's the same thing too, earlier in the season when the NHL took the decisions on interference and offside challenges out of the hands of the referee and they put it in the hands of the situation room. It's the same thing. I mean, sure, you're kind of, you're discrediting your on-ice officials that you're supposed to vouch for, but at the same time, it gets a streamlined, opinion, and it gets a consensus opinion across, because, there's how many ever different games all going on at once, different referees and linesmen, different interpretations of stuff. So I see where you're coming from, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you make that change, does it make things worse? You know what I mean? Like you said, are we going to review every ball and strike?
Yeah. I don't want to review it in game, but maybe you take a look at things afterwards and supplemental, whatever. So Boston and Blue Jackets are over. Boston goes on. The Islanders get swept by the Hurricanes. The storm surge continues. Rocket, have you ever seen a bunch of jerks have more success?
Yeah, they were called the Las Vegas Knights from
Oh.
Vegas.
Oh!
Nice.
Oh. Damn.
Well, we all know how that story ended. Good night, kids.
Goodbye.
So are you? So I'm taking. Are you going to root for the Hurricanes in their series against the Bruins?
I don't know. Now that it's a best of 5, I really am just like, okay, well,
Best of 5. What are you talking about?
Well, because Bruins already won one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's 4. Never mind. So no,
It's still first of 4.
I just don't think so. I don't know. I just don't. I don't want the Hurricanes to get swept by the Bruins, and I want this to just be the fluky game, and I want the Hurricanes to come back and just be like, fool you, and just smack the crap out of them for a little bit. Whatever happens, I want the series to go triple overtime every single game, and I want it to go to a game 7.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, the hockey gods have to let the San Jose Sharks advance to the final because there's a storyline either way. If they play the Hurricanes, then we just listen to a week and a half of Sharknado stories.
I'm all right with that.
I am so okay with that. But if it's Boston, then we listen to a week and a half of Joe Thornton getting revenge, or I don't want to say revenge, but it's just kind of like, the return of Thornton 15 years after the trade, and
the Chowder Cup.
Yeah, the Chowder Cup or whatever. And I can see, DeBoer, hey, Thornton, when you're out there, I don't want to see any of this Olay bullshit. Of course, I'm rooting for the Canes, but yes, as we're recording, Boston's already up 1-0 in that series. Oh, come on. But then again, though, the Canes, they've been money at home during the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. So hopefully that can continue. We kick over to the Stars versus Blues. That one goes 7. Now, you think about this. We're talking about a Dallas Star teams that was broiled in turmoil around the All-Star game. You got their CEO. How many fucking NHL teams have a CEO? But anyway, their CEO out in the media calling out Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, basically saying that they're not playing hard enough, they're not doing enough, versus a team that fired their head coach and was in the cellar at the beginning of the year. So, I mean, there's so many storylines between the Stars and the Blues. So the fact that it went not only 7 games, but went to overtime, and Bishop with a remarkable showing. It's so funny. There's a photo for those of you who don't know, but are listening. For those of you who don't know, on social media, there is a photo of Rocket holding up a sign that says, "I want you both to lose." That game 7 between the Stars and the Blues, it was almost like I wanted to hold up a sign that says, "I want you both to win." Because it was a great story on both sides. You really couldn't find anybody to hate in either ways.
I disagree.
Oh, shit. Here we go with the St. Louis hate. Go ahead.
I hate St. Louis. I wanted Dallas to win. Only because nobody cares enough to pay attention to the fact that Dallas has actually improved their team over the last year. And nobody wants to talk about that. Well, that's
what happens when you don't throw $12 million at Anthony Niemi and who was the other? Lettinen.
Kari Lettinen. Yeah, I Dallas was a fun team to watch for me just because they, it was never a situation of, well, we're a good team and we're going to stick with blah, blah, blah. No, they were like, yeah, we suck at this, so we're going to go fix it. No, I'm being serious.
No, you're absolutely serious. And I think that ownership also needs to take over the Ottawa Senators franchise.
Yeah, no, Dallas said, we are bad at scoring goals outside of our top line. So they pick up Matt Zuccarello, who led their team in scoring with a freaking broken arm.
And didn't somebody end up with a great draft pick because of that?
Yeah, the Rangers. The Rangers got a second and a third out of that. And if Zuccarello re-signs in Dallas, which I think he will, according to a guy I know who knows a guy that I know, that third will turn into a first. So,
have you Rocket? Have you ever known a guy who knew a guy?
I know a guy who had heard of a guy who knew a guy.
There you go. It's very close.
But I worked with a guy whose daughter knew a guy.
Oh, it's close enough.
Mm.
I will give you points for that. Not foreseen points, but points nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
So after 2 hours of this horse and buggy ride, I think it's probably time to get out of here. And hope you enjoyed this. For those of you listening, again, our affiliates, we apologize. We ran long, but that's what happens when you have to wrap an entire series of games. 2 weeks. So
our apologies to Matt Damon. We ran out of time.
Absolutely. Our apologies to Sean Avery. We were in his bike lane. Anyway. Oh my Lord. Rocket, where the people can find you on the social media, please.
Hello, party people. My name is Rocket Backhander. You can find me partying with you, the people, on Twitter. That's www.twitter.com. I'm doing stuff, making money moves. That if I ever tell you that I'm making money moves, it just means that I'm rolling pennies. That's it. Because you got to do something with that loose change.
Yeah, check me out over on Twitter. It's capital R, capital B, little backhander 76. That's R backhander 76. Hockey musings on life, me being an angry biscuit that I am. Or you can check out all of my photographs over on Instagram. It's rocket backhander, one word, all lowercase, smushed together. Pictures. AJ.
Budai, rocket everywhere.
Oh, you guys are a power couple.
Yeah, I know, right? Hockey jerk, where they at?
Where my hose at? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, what?
Eric, is that you? All right, final thoughts.
Good evening,
That poor guy. Love you,
Goodbye.
Buckeye.
Wait,
if you're auditing this show, welcome. Yeah, you know what? Western Conference Final again. I feel like from the years of 2004 to 2016, Sharks go to the Western Conference Final, and it's like, oh my God, watershed mark, and we should be happy, and blah, blah, blah. But here in 2019, West Final,
meh.
That's all right. In the words of Jordan Bennington, cool.
No, dude, in the words of Chance the Rapper.
As they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
I honestly, I cannot wait until that joke gets old. I think it's the unfunniest thing ever. Anyways,
really?
Yeah, did not catch on to it. I'm not very keen on it. Anyways, final thoughts. So listen, you probably noticed that I wasn't on Twitter as much as I normally am. If you think that's a good thing, then I'm sorry to tell you that I am back.
If you think that's because he was in Winnipeg, you're right.
We're at that point where there's a game. There's only one game every day, and sometimes, maybe there's an extra day off, and then eventually there's only going to be one game every other day, and then eventually there will be no hockey. But we'll be we'll be
Dude,
there.
Rocket sounds really pissed off right now.
No, just lies. No hockey.
And if you liked what you heard from me tonight, I hope you did. You can follow me on Twitter at hockey_jerk. We are doing good things. We're tweeting and we're sharing gifts and jokes and all that good stuff. And shout out to our sponsors.
Shit, here we go.
Hello, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, RC. That can could be you. Shoot me a DM. I cannot confirm nor deny who I am drinking tonight. I'll let the sponsors decide that.
Okay.
Damn. What the hell's going on Twitter? As we're wrapping up the show, I'm seeing some shenanigans. Carolina Hurricanes reporter Chip Alexander appeared on Boston's Toucher or Rich radio show to talk about the Eastern Conference Final. Co-host Fred Toucher decided to hang up on the poor guy because he couldn't stand his southern accent.
I saw that.
Damn.
Which I would also like to throw in. That is one, factoid to add to the list of reasons why I hate Boston as much as I hate St. Louis.
That's a messed up, man, that's kind of jacked up. With that, Rocket, could you enlighten us to the Nashville power play from last time?
The Nashville power play, they have moved it over to the side of the road. It is no longer blocking traffic on 440. They're waiting. They got a tow truck out there, but apparently the power play is too heavy and sluggish, and they had to go get a bigger tow truck. So they're just fixing to wait on that. And also, it's raining, so they got to wait for the rain to clear.
They had to get the tow truck?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
They called Bubba, and he was like, no, I'm little Bubba. Y'all want big Bubba. And big Bubba don't work on Tuesdays. Y'all got to wait till Friday. So, yeah, because he's big Bubba. He works whenever he wants. That's just how it is.
All right. I am AJ_strong here to answer the question.
How you going to do that hockey?
And I'm going to do that hockey on social media. On Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, all of it. AJ_strong. Jesus Christ, get me the fuck out of here. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you for episode 74, which will wrap up round 3 of the 2019 NHL playoffs. And with that, thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you next time, God willing.
This isn't 74 DeMello's number.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Okay.